Hi, sorry everybody, I was just muted on that last update. I just want to let you know that we will start our presentation in 2 minutes. Thank you for being here early. I'm just going to show our first PowerPoint slide. No one has missed anything yet, and we'll see you in 2 minutes. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 9th grade orientation for students and parents here at Shawshene Valley Technical High School. I want to thank everybody for coming to this virtual event. My name is Matt Bayonne, and I am the Director of Guidance and Health Services at Shawshene Tech. We are very excited to have you join us tonight for what I hope to be a very informative virtual event. For tonight, we'll be talking about what students and parents can expect for the beginning of school on September 14th, and also what type of services and information you can expect from our department and our school for that matter. Even though we are starting this year in a very irregular way, and we know this is a very anticipated start of the school year, we want to make sure that you all know that we want to make this a great experience for your sons and daughters and all of the students who are watching tonight. We want you all to feel welcome into our RAM fam as parts of our community. We know that this is a big transition from 8th to 9th grade for parents and students, and we wanted to make this a great experience for all of you. So for tonight, we are going to be going back and forth between the presenters, myself, and there'll be other people from our department, and our PowerPoint presentation that you saw our first slide that was just up. You can feel free at any time during the presentation to type in questions into the question and answer feature, and we will try our utmost best to answer all of your questions tonight. Lynn Burns, one of the administrative assistants in the Guidance and Health Services Department, will be monitoring the questions tonight. If you have specific questions about your son or daughter, then those could be best asked directly either to myself or one of the guidance counselors who are on this presentation tonight, either by phone or email separate from this presentation. So I'm going to change back over to our PowerPoint presentation. You'll see me come in and out throughout this presentation. I'm going to start introducing some of the other presenters tonight in just a minute. So one of our biggest themes this year, definitely, well, our biggest theme this year is first to welcome you. Okay, let me bring up the PowerPoint presentation as I just said I would do. There we go. All right. So welcome, stay safe, and social distance. Those are our themes this year. And we'll also be talking about a number of other things throughout this year. This was made by our graphics department. As you'll find, there's an incredible amount of ingenuity and creativity that goes on here. And our graphics department is one of many of our vocational technical shops that you will find out about. Okay, so a number of things that around health and safety will start off this year. Wear a mask that covers your nose and mouth. All students will be required to wear masks, and we need to make sure that those masks cover your nose and mouth when you're in here. This is our principal, Miss Cook. You've probably seen her on some of the other Microsoft Live events, but she was happy enough to be a model for this picture. Another part of health and safety is washing your hands and using hand sanitizer frequently. This is Miss LeRae. She's exhibiting one of the hand sanitizer stations throughout the building. This is the one when you walk into the front doors right before you buzz into the school. There are also hand sanitizer stations in many of the classrooms on the wall and offices throughout the school. You're going to see signage when you come into the school in many different ways, telling you which way to go for different shops and also for health reasons. So physical distancing, these are things that you're going to hear from our nurse a little bit later in the presentation, but this is our Director of Vocational Programming, Mr. Norkowitz on the left, and Mr. Smith, one of our vocational technical teachers and also a department chair, exhibiting maintaining 6 feet of distance whenever possible, and at a minimum maintaining 3 feet of distance between anybody. That's throughout the whole school day and when you step into our building. So another thing you'll see in terms of signage are on the floor. On the hallways as you go throughout the building. They'll tell you which way to go and exactly where to stand at times. When you come into the guidance office, there'll be lanes for you to walk in to ensure that you're staying at least 3 feet away from other people. This is one of our main hallways. This is a lot of our main office staff who are here exhibiting exactly what to do when you're following the signage and hallway markings. Okay, I am going to introduce our one of our school nurses who is going to talk a little bit about the nursing office. Maggie Joyce.
Hi everyone. Thanks Matt. Those are great photos to kind of segue into what I'm about to talk about. As Matt said, I'm one of the school nurses here at Shawsheen, and I'd love to introduce you virtually to the rest of our staff. So we can go back to the PowerPoint. And as you can see, I'm on the top, Maggie Joyce. In the middle, we have Nina Brophy. She was hired this year as a new full-time registered nurse. And on the bottom, we have Kathy Gravlin, an LPN who's in the office. She's been with us since 2006. So we as a team make up the nurse's office. I can be reached at the email or number that you see at the corner of the screen. For questions or concerns, please always reach out. And I'm going to talk a little bit about our COVID-19 preparation. We do have a supplemental space for anyone exhibiting symptoms consistent with COVID-19. This space is adjacent to the nurse's office and it's adjoined by a door. This room will not be used for any other concerns, simply anyone exhibiting symptoms consistent with COVID-19. So that's our supplemental space. Next, Matt touched upon, and you saw photos, everyone is required to wear a protective face mask that covers both the nose and the mouth. It must be worn at all times. All staff and students are required to maintain a distance of at least 3 feet, preferably more, but even when masks are on, we require that this distance is maintained. All staff members and students must keep clean hands, preferably with the use of soap and water for at least 20 seconds, but when that's not available, we have plenty of hand sanitizer stations around the building. All staff members and students are advised to stay home when exhibiting symptoms of illness and should seek medical attention if necessary. And in other news, so we have a school physician. His name is Dr. Chu Chen. He's out of Merrimack Valley Pediatrics in Chelmsford. He serves as a medical consultant for our district. He provides standing orders that Shawsheen nurses follow and implement as necessary. So these could include treatments such as Tylenol, cough drops, Benadryl, eye drops, etc. So all incoming freshman families have received a health and emergency form, which if signed gives permission for the nursing staff to treat your students. This form also, if signed, gives the nurses staff permission to exchange information with your student's healthcare provider. So all of you should have gotten that form, and if you haven't gotten it into me as soon as possible would be fabulous. So along with the health and emergency forms, families must turn in a copy of their student's most recent physical, which should have taken place within the last year. An up-to-date immunization record is also required and proof of dental. So beginning this year, the school year 2020-2021, Massachusetts mandated that all students entering school have an influenza vaccine. Medical and religious exemptions are allowable in the state of Massachusetts, and these exemptions should be sent to me if necessary. All right, if your student requires medication during the school day, so this could include but not limited to prescription medication, over-the-counter medication, emergency medication such as EpiPens, inhalers, glucagon, Diastat, a doctor's order form must be turned in. This comes along with a parent authorization, which is signed by you and gives permission for your student to take the medication in school. So 2 documents, a parent authorization and an MD order form. Students are not allowed to carry prescription medication in school. However, with permission from you as a parent or guardian and your student's physician, your student may carry an EpiPen or inhaler. This, along with whether or not your student can self-administer, should be specified on the paperwork. It's encouraged, although, that at least 1 EpiPen or inhaler is kept in the nurse's office in case your student forgets to bring it. All medication kept in the nurse's office must be in the original packaging along with a prescription label on it. All over-the-counter medication must be new and unopened. So these forms that I'm talking about can be found on the Shawsheen website or can be emailed directly to you if needed. Most practices use their own order form that's signed by a doctor, which is fine. If your student has an action plan or emergency plan, those must be provided also. If all of this sounds foreign to you, that is completely okay. Just ignore. It's imperative that the nursing staff have all medical and health information regarding your student so we can provide the best care. So to wrap up, a lot of information was just thrown at you. I expect and I encourage questions. Please don't ever hesitate to contact me via phone or email, and I welcome you to Shawsheen.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Maggie. Okay, what I'd like to do now is introduce our 2 freshman counselors. We have 2 guidance counselors who counsel only the freshmen, and students are assigned to those counselors by last name. So now I will introduce Miss Angela Kyra.
Hello, everyone. Good evening and welcome to our parents, guardians, and most especially welcome to the class of 2024. I am so excited to be here with you this evening. Even though it's virtual, I'm really excited to have this opportunity to say hello through a screen and tell you that I cannot wait until September 14th so that I get to see you all in person. This is going to be a fantastic year. I want that to be said first, because even despite everything that we've gone through over the last many months, we are geared up and ready to welcome you into the Shawshene Valley Technical High School family. You are all Rams now. You come from 5 different towns, and now you are one proud community. So we're really, really honored to have your presence with us, and we just want you to know that even though it might be difficult, oops, my light just went off in my office. We have timer lights, so hopefully you can still see me. It looks a little dark and crazy right now, but hopefully you can still see me. I'll move my arms a little bit and see if it comes back on. Oh, let me stand. Hold on. Let's see. It's not. There we go. There we go. We got the light back. We got the light back. You got to love this virtual stuff, right? Okay, so we're back, and this is what it's all about, folks. We're going to run into different issues like that up and down throughout the year, and we're just going to run with it, and we're going to be flexible, and that's the name of the game. And we are always, always, always going to support you, no matter what. I am the guidance counselor, as Mr. Bayonne said, for anyone in the freshman class with a last name beginning A through Q. My colleague, who will introduce herself in just a little bit, has the lower end of the alphabet, but we work together, we work collaboratively. If I'm not in the office on any given day, you can certainly reach out to Mrs. Samaha, and the same can be said for her caseload. You can always come to me. So even though we have different caseloads, we care about all the freshmen, and it's really important that the parents, the guardians, and the freshmen, of course, know that we are really in this together. We'll work with each other to support all of the freshmen throughout the course of the year. So don't worry, if you have any questions or concerns, you can contact me by email or by phone. I'm really, really great at responding to emails quite regularly. So if it's a time-sensitive manner, I especially encourage you to email me, because I do get back to emails a little bit quicker than I would respond to a phone call. But certainly feel free to call me, leave a message. I'll always return the calls. Send me an email, no matter what it is. I will be happy to assist. And if I can't answer your question myself, then I'll absolutely direct you to the correct person who will be able to help you. I want to leave the freshmen with this one little word, with this one message here. It says believe. If you can read this sign, it says believe. And that's really my key word for the year. It's believe. So all you freshmen who are watching this video right now, believe in yourself this year. We believe in you. You were admitted to Shawshene because we believe in you. We believe that you're going to be successful. We believe that no matter what obstacles we might encounter as a community this year, we're going to get through it together. And we want you to continue to believe in yourself as we navigate this difficult time. Reach out to Mrs. Samaha and myself anytime during the year. Really look forward to meeting you all on September 14th. Enjoy the rest of your summer, and I'll see you again soon in a couple of slides.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Ms. Kyra. What a great message to send on to our incoming students and their parents. Now I'm going to introduce Mrs. Samaha.
Hey everybody, I'm Amanda Samaha. I'm coming to you virtually from my backyard. I've got my background blurred, so I might look a little strange, but I wanted to give this a try because this is what this year is going to be like for our kids too. I support the letters of the alphabet, R through Z for freshmen, and actually also carry a couple of shops. I've got electronics and I've got the internet shops. Like Angela said, we work collaboratively, we support our freshmen. We want to make sure that the transition is a very positive one for our freshmen. That's why the school has us. You know, if you look around the districts, you're not going to find a lot of guidance offices that have guidance counselors solely dedicated to freshmen, but that's just a testament to how important we feel this transition is and how important our freshmen are to us, because we just want them to be happy so that they're with us all 4 years and they graduate and they become part of our RAM family forever. This is always one of our favorite nights. This is not typical. Obviously, we're usually standing in front of you in a crowded cafeteria, and you know it's not the same just staring at my computer right now, but I'm picturing all your faces and knowing that there's a lot of you out there that probably this is your first experience sending a child to high school, and we just want you to know that they're good in our hands. We will care about them when they're with us. We want you to put names with faces so that if there's any concerns you have about them throughout the day, you know who to call, you know who to reach out to. Many years ago, a parent said to me, "You're only as happy as your saddest child," and it's so true. I didn't have kids at the time, but you know, when you're worrying about your kids for any reason at all, and they're off at school, and you need to know that they're in good hands. Or if you have any questions about, you just need us to check in with them. Sometimes stuff happens in the morning and you're worrying about their mood throughout the day. That's what we're here for. So just because they're in high school doesn't mean that we're not going to still treat them like your babies. They're going to be our babies now, and we're going to take care of them. So anything that comes up, just call or email, and we'll get back to you and we'll support you. And we look forward to working with you together and having a great year despite all of these challenges that we're facing. Thanks for coming, and I'll talk to you a little bit down the road about some other things, but thanks for coming to our event.
Great, thank you very much, Mrs. Samaha. I'm going to bring back Ms. Kyra, who's going to talk about a couple of the next slides. You're going to hear her voice and see the PowerPoint.
Great, thanks, Mr. Bayonne. Hello again. I'm back to talk with you all about Aspen Parent Portal, which is our school database. Some of you might be familiar with Aspen because different districts use Aspen in our area. However, for those of you who are not, no need to worry because we have plenty of support built into the Shawshene staff who can help you familiarize yourself with the program and walk you through it step by step if assistance is needed. The portal is basically available to you so that you can track your child's performance. And again, to all of the students who are listening right now, thank you for being here and for tuning in, because not only does it show us just how invested you are in your education, but it really gives us the opportunity to share with you some extra tidbits of information that you'll need as an entering freshman. And Aspen is one of those tidbits. You are going to be able to communicate with your teachers and your staff throughout this database. So when you forget what your homework assignment is, or you want to know when something is due, if you're curious about a grade that you received, you can access Aspen to receive that information. Parents, guardians, you can certainly track discipline, attendance, report cards, progress reports, exploratory report cards. It's all tracked through Aspen. Again, if you have any difficulties, if you run into any difficult circumstances utilizing the database or navigating the database, then our ed tech department will be there to help you. We have two very talented and capable administrative assistants and guidance who can assist you. And of course, Mrs. Samaha and I can walk you through the process as best to our ability as well. But it's really just a really wonderful database to be able to track not just the performance, the discipline, and the attendance of your children, but also to utilize as a communication device. It's a great tool to be able to interact with the teachers. If you need to contact a teacher, email a teacher, you can go to Aspen and you're able to get in touch with the staff members via that parent portal. So more information will come to follow. You're going to get login information, as the slide states. You're going to get login information next week, so you'll be able to log in step by step. They pretty much spell it out for you, and if you have any questions at all, do not hesitate to pick up the phone or to email any of us, because we're all glad to walk you through the process. But please take advantage of Aspen. Take advantage of all that it has to offer, because you might be able to address concerns or questions that you have without having to wait for a call back or without having to wait for a response to an email, simply by logging in and just checking the parent portal. And that goes for you too, students. You can absolutely get some information that maybe you're missing from a class via Aspen. Okay, so please take advantage of that database. I'm going to transition now and talk a little bit about the exploratory process. Now, for all of you out there, this is really the reason why you came to Shawsheen, right, freshmen? You came to Shawsheen because we're a vocational technical school, and you're also excited about going through the exploratory process. Well, we're really excited to introduce this process to you. We pride ourselves, obviously, in the vocational technical programs that we provide here at Shawsheen. We have an excellent staff of academic teachers as well as an excellent staff of vocational teachers. And let me tell you, these vocational teachers are eager to greet you on September 14th when you begin your shop week at Shawsheen. The exploratory process this year is going to run a minimum of 14 cycles. For those of you who might have siblings or friends who have gone to Shawsheen or graduated from Shawsheen, you might recall that there were 12 cycles previously. Well, now we have 14 cycles, and we made that adjustment to accommodate the COVID pandemic. Okay, we realized that it might take longer to get everyone through the shops of interest, so we needed to spread out the exploratory process just a little bit because our capacity limits are obviously a little bit smaller this year to respect the social distancing guidelines. Now, having said that, we are also taking into consideration any medical illnesses that might come up as a result of the coronavirus. We always allow re-explore for medical circumstances if a student misses a significant amount of time during the exploratory process. That is not going to be any different this year. If you happen to be out because you need to quarantine or whatever the case may be, if it's a COVID-related attendance issue, we are going to work with you. Please don't panic. We will make sure that you get to visit the shops that you are most interested in, okay? We do not, however, allow re-explores just to allow re-explores. That is not something that we do accommodate, but if there is a medical issue or if there is another urgent pressing matter, we will certainly work with you and make sure that you get to explore the cycles you're most interested in. Of the 14 cycles, Mrs. Lesko, our assistant principal, has worked very diligently and has made it a priority of hers to make sure that all of our freshmen are able to cycle through at least their top 5 shops, and in most cases, up to your top 10 shops. There will be some exploratory programs that you might not be particularly excited about. Maybe you have no interest in a particular shop, but you do have to go through 14 cycles. So some will be on the bottom of your list, perhaps according to the ranking system that you submitted on your application, but most, if not all, are going to be on the higher end of your ranking order, okay? Also, please take into consideration that there could be a shop there that's considered a non-traditional shop. We do have a non-traditional program in place so that we can introduce all of our female students to some of the programs that might more traditionally be geared towards males and vice versa. We do that deliberately because we want to make sure that all of our students, no matter your gender, you are welcome and encouraged to participate and to select any one of the shops. No gender basis at all, okay? It does not matter what gender you are. We want you to explore and experience and even choose any shop that we offer at Shawsheen. There will be 2 shop surveys for the 9th graders throughout the course of the exploratory program. Those shop surveys will probably be conducted through the vocational technical department itself. So more on that information as the year progresses. And of course, the permanent placement will be done by the end of the school year. You'll notice that I'm not stating any specific dates. The slide does not reveal any specific dates. And that again is intentional informational because we quite frankly don't know exactly how the year will play out. It's a somewhat fluid process, so we're not sure when those cutoff dates are going to be for placement and for selection, but certainly we'll keep you apprised of all that information as the year unfolds. So don't worry about missing out on any pertinent information regarding dates because we're very good at keeping open lines of communication. Which brings me to my final point about the exploratory process. Like everything else at Shawsheen, and especially with the freshman transition, Mrs. Samaha and I are here to support your students. Freshmen, we're here to support you, not just academically and socially and emotionally, but also throughout the exploratory process. Take a peek at your schedule. If you see a problem with it, a concern about it, bring it to our attention. If you're really worried about a particular cycle being on your schedule, bring it to our attention. We want you to enjoy this experience first and foremost. And we also want you to keep an open mind as you go through the exploratory process. You're here after all to explore 14 cycles to get a good feel for the 14 different programs so that you can make an educated decision at the end of the exploratory program, because ultimately we want you to have 3 top choices in mind. And we have very good statistics for getting placed into one of your top 3 choices. But in order to make sure that you can seal the deal for your top 3, it's so super important to keep an open mind throughout the entire process. Show a positive attitude, demonstrate motivation, make sure you are communicating effectively with your teachers, doing all your work, showing up prepared, just as you would to math, English, science, history, civics, literacy, Spanish, any class that we offer here. Take this exploratory experience just as seriously as you would academics, because your grades do matter just as much as your interest matters. But what matters even more than your grades and your participation is the safety and open mind. Please wear the proper attire. Reference the sheet that Mr. Bayonne sent home. You must come to every shop cycle prepared with the correct footwear, with the correct clothing, with the safety glasses that we will provide to you, and more than anything, an open mind and positive attitude. That's what the teachers pay attention to, an open mind and a positive attitude. So good luck to all of you. We wish you nothing but the best throughout your entire freshman year. We wish you all the best with the exploratory process. And once again, believe in yourselves and reach out to us. Let us know what we can do to make this an enjoyable year, a smooth transition, and nothing but success for the class of 2024. Look forward to seeing you all on September 14th.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Ms. Kyra. And that's a great point that you made about the form that I sent home yesterday. So when I sent out the link to this presentation, I also attached to that email what to wear and what to bring for each of our shops. And we'll be talking about that a little bit later during the question and answer period, I'm sure. All right, now I'm going to bring back Mrs. Samaha, who is going to talk about our Naviance online program.
All right, hi again, everybody. I'd like to tell you a little bit about our Naviance curriculum. Naviance is a web-based portfolio which is used all 4 years for our students. It's a way to start planning about life after high school. We do a lot of career research, we research colleges, and it ultimately becomes the website where we facilitate the college application process. Even if your sons and daughters and students that are out there aren't thinking of college, we will be teaching you about Naviance so that you're ready in case if you end up changing your mind or going a different path. So everybody gets that same curriculum so that they're prepared for whatever might come their way. During freshman year, Angela and I are going to work together and we're going to complete the Do What You Are assessment, which is linked with the Myers-Briggs Personality Inventory, which is used in businesses and education all around the world. Through this assessment, students will discover their personality type and it will link it to possible careers connected to that personality type. It's a really fun assessment. It's a really good way for us to get to know our students and to interpret their results. So we really enjoy it. Angela and I were actually practicing using it the other day, which is fantastic and really fun. It does say that we should be guidance counselors. Thank goodness we're not changing our careers because of this assessment. It works. The learning styles inventory is another assessment that we'll be facilitating with our freshmen. This assessment helps our students understand their learning style, and it offers customized tips on how to be academically successful. Both of those assessments will be stored into our students' Naviance accounts, and it will carry forward with them for all the years that they're with us, so they can always look back on results. They'll do some additional assessments into sophomore and junior year, so it's not a one and done scenario. There's other assessments that we've actually purchased, even more assessments recently through Naviance for our students to really start to hone in on their goals and their interests and the direction that they should be going for post-graduation. It's a fantastic database, and we look forward to using it with our freshmen and for sharing it with parents as well. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Mrs. Samaha. All right, I'm going to continue on with a few more slides before we open it up to questions. I wanted to just touch on our 504 plans that we have for students here for all 4 grades. But just to give some specific information around 9th graders starting out, we take the plan that 9th graders had in their middle schools and upload it specifically into our Aspen system. This way we can be very specific about what was recommended and what accommodations were in place when students were in middle school. We don't make any changes to those plans unless we have a meeting to talk about it more in detail with the 504 team, which includes myself as the 504 coordinator, guidance counselors, students, teachers, and the parents, you as parents, and also your sons and daughters. The meetings usually are scheduled after term 1 for 9th grade, and these are meetings that continue to determine eligibility for the 504 plan. At these meetings, we make any necessary changes, updates to the plans, and any new information. So we have a number of resources for students, especially students who are eligible for free and reduced lunch. The free and reduced lunch form is on our school website. Please feel free to fill it out if you think you are eligible, if you haven't done so already. And then there are other resources on this page for people to use. Shawsheen Tech is a big social media presence, as many people already know. If you haven't done so already, please follow our Facebook page for our school. We have a Shawsheen District Twitter page. If you are on Twitter, which I know many people are, please make sure to follow that. Once you follow the Shawsheen District page, the Shawsheen High School page, you'll see that there are many other pages to follow that are affiliated with Shawsheen. You can follow me as the guidance director. It's under my name. So we look forward to seeing what's going on and seeing updates in that way. We also send updates in many other ways. Many people from seeing this link tonight have received my emails and texts directly from our Blackboard messaging system. We can also make direct calls that way. Okay, so we will now open it up for questions.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, Mrs. Burns.
Hello. We have a lot of questions in regards to the flu shot. Most importantly, will they be available at school, and when do they need to be completed or submitted by?
So I'm going to start off answering this question. I'm going to bring in Ms. Joyce also to help me out with this. So the governor recently made the announcement that all flu shots will be required for public school students, not just high school, but public school students in the state of Massachusetts before December 31st. This was a new order that came out, and it came out at a time that we're very focused on starting school. So we don't have information just yet, but we are looking into many different options for the flu shot vaccines. We will definitely have more announcements about this, but let me bring in Ms. Joyce to answer a little bit more about that.
Oh, hey everybody. I definitely should have been more clear on my PowerPoint slide, but Mr. Bayonne just answered that the flu shot is required by December 31st, 2020. And I would absolutely love to start seeing documentation. Feel free to send in whatever you have. And Mr. Bayonne just touched upon whether or not we're gonna have this in school. So more to come on this for sure. And that's that.
Ms. Joyce, do you just want to mention about the medical and religious exemptions? Is that what you meant by the paperwork?
No, documentation of a flu shot.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, okay.
But and I did touch upon in the PowerPoint that if a student has a medical or religious exemption, that is completely fine. Just get me the documentation.
Right. Okay. Excellent. Thank you for that update, Ms. Joyce.
And part of this question too, also, how will the school distinguish cold, flu, or allergy symptoms, and also how to keep kids out of school, what to determine that, and quarantining? What will the school do as well?
All right, I am going to bring back Ms. Joyce.
Yes.
To answer that question.
Yes. Yeah, thank you. So this is definitely going to be difficult, right? Because the flu has similar symptoms to COVID, to allergies. So it's really going to take some diligence on my end, family's ends, the teachers too, kind of monitoring symptoms. If there's a known cause for symptoms, for example, if a student suffers from seasonal allergies, has a runny nose and some postnasal drip, therefore they're coughing, that student will not be required to stay home and isolate as long as there's a known cause. If somebody is getting headaches, but typically does get headaches and they're really tired, well, they just got back into the school and that routine. So if there's a known cause, no, that student will not be required to quarantine. And I think the second part of that question, about a confirmed case of COVID, and that we have very specific guidelines from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education that we're going to follow. Without getting into too much detail, we would do contact tracing. Our district would reach out to the local Board of Health, and we'd take it on a case-by-case basis. Matt, you're muted.
Thank you, Ms. Joyce. So there's another question that has come up here, and in terms of other requirements for masks, there were reports that gaiters would not be considered an appropriate face covering in Massachusetts schools, but I've not seen this formally. Ms. Joyce, I'll just start answering this, and you can talk just around what's required for masks. There hasn't been anything specific saying that gaiters are not required. The only requirement is that masks cover the mouth and the nose. Ms. Joyce, do you have other information on that?
That's exactly what I was going to say. We don't okay. have any guidance yet. So if that comes out, it will be brought to you as families of freshmen. So look out for that. But I don't have anything as of yet.
Okay. Okay. Now the question is: the school taking temperatures daily, and we are not doing that. That's not in the guidance from DESE about that. Ms. Burns, are there other medical questions?
Just follow-ups. A lot of people are wondering if we will provide the flu shot for families, for students.
All right, so let me come back and answer that. We don't have an answer for that right now. We're looking into options. And honestly, we're looking, Dr. Jackson said this on Monday, we are looking for some more guidance from the Department of Education in Massachusetts about if there is going to be more guidance from them around how to support schools in this requirement. So we don't have any specific announcements or information about that yet, but that information will be to come, and we will look at all options. So I see there are a few questions around sports. Are there going to be fall sports? And what are the next steps? Our athletic director, Mr. Costabile, is looking into, and also Dr. Jackson, are looking into options for providing fall sports. We know that sports are important, along with clubs and activities for students to be involved in school. There's a lot of new information that just came out recently that we're trying to work through. We will have an announcement by next week about if we are offering fall sports and what the next steps with that will be. Sorry, I don't have more information about that, but there's just a lot of new information that's coming out, and we're trying to make the most responsible decision for the health and safety of our students.
We have a lot of questions coming in to when students will receive their schedules and when families will get their Aspen accounts and emails.
Great. I expected that would be a pretty popular thing to want to know about, especially with school starting on September 14th. Our Aspen database, our parent portal for the Aspen database, that login information will be coming out by next week. So parents will be able to log into the parent portal. And then soon after that, next week, schedules will also be available to be viewed on the parent portal. So September 14th is the first day of school. That first week, students are going to be going through their first Shop Exploratory week. So the most important thing is for students and parents is where do students go, especially on that first day and that first week. So that information will be available on our Aspen database through the parent portal next week. So students will know which shop they're going to. Also, there will be more information next week around students entering the building. So there are going to be different points around the building where students are going to be left off if they're being driven to school, based on where they are going to be doing their first Shop Exploratory. So obviously more information will be coming out when students are able to view their schedules on the Aspen Parent Portal, and then more information on how to enter the building. We are going to have somewhat of a staggered start to students entering the building, knowing that we don't want too many students entering in the same entrances at one time. All students who will be taking the buses will be left off, and the buses will be staggered again, so not many students are entering the cafeteria through the cafeteria doors at one time. All right, I see a question about school supplies that I need to get. So we don't have a specific list of supplies. What I will so one thing that students would need to be aware of when they know what their shop is by next week, reference the form that I sent out in the attachment to students and parents yesterday about what to wear and what to bring to the shop. So that would be the first step. If you cannot find that attachment, it is also referenced on our website, and I believe Ms. Burns might even be able to send that out. But it is on the guidance pages where you can reference that. So that's the best way to know around the supplies that you will get, knowing that students are going to be in school 100% of the time for just vocational and technical shops.
Thank you. And could you clarify for families asking the first day of school, the 14th, who is expected to be in the building and working remote?
Okay, good question. So yeah, let's set a basis for that. So the first week, starting on September 14th, 9th graders and 11th graders will be in school in their shop rotations under 100% of the time. So, and then the week after that, September 21st, 10th and 12th graders will be in their shops 100% of the time. So during that first week of September 14th, while 9th and 11th graders are in school in their shops, 10th and 12th graders will be working remotely with their academic classes. I hope that clears it up. Does that get to the heart of what many people are asking, Ms. Burns? Mrs. Burns?
Yes, thank you.
So there is a question around homeroom assignments. We're doing things a little bit differently where students are not going to be going to their homerooms. They will be given homeroom assignments, but homeroom won't be a part of the start of school. We can't say that students are not going to be going to homeroom at all, but that is going to be dictated by how the year goes. So we won't have a regular homeroom assignment. I'm just going to answer a question about the buses. So there's a question, what are the guidelines for the buses? So we are working out a lot of details regarding bus assignments. The information that we received, the guidance from the Department of Education in Massachusetts stated very clearly that 1/3 of the amount of students can be on buses at one time. So that really cuts down the amount of students who will be on each bus. We're working out the final details of the transportation information that will also be available and be going out to students and parents next week.
Could you clarify for people on our what to wear, what is an agenda book and will it be provided?
Okay, an agenda book. Let's see. So I will just show you this. So an agenda book this is the one from last year. I know we are. I'm not sure about providing them for this year. I believe we are, but that information will come out more during the first week of school. One thing I will say, during the first week of school, I know there was some technology questions also. All 9th graders will be going through a 2-hour technology orientation. So that's going to help them to be able to use their Shawsheen email addresses, find out about all the technology requirements, specifically around our Microsoft Teams program, which will be the way that students will be accessing their remote classes during their academic weeks. So they'll be pulled out, each freshman will be pulled out in a small group for 2 hours during the first week of school. That is also the time when if students have requested laptops, parents have requested laptops for their sons or daughters, that's also when students will receive them. So I know that information has already gone out. Many parents have requested them and have them, and those will be given out during those technology sessions. Ms. Kyra and Mrs. Samaha will also be a part of those sessions and we'll be helping students to log in and learn a little bit more about Naviance. The main part of that will just be able to be going into Naviance and signing on to it. There's a question. Go ahead, Mrs. Burns.
Oh, we have questions regarding lunch being in the cafeteria and what students can bring in, water bottles and drinks.
Yes, so yes, those are good questions. So in terms of the cafeteria, we're working on specific spacing of students. We won't be able to fit the same amount of students during our lunches that we have in the past. So it's going to be very deliberate the way that students sit at lunch. Students will still be able to go to the cafeteria. There will still be lines that they will go through, but there'll still be two lunch options, but those will be boxed lunches, lunches that are covered. So in terms of the safety when students pick them up. The cafeteria will not be accepting cash, so it's very important that parents and students load on funds onto their cafeteria information. You can find that through our website, and students will be able to just give their ID number, and that's the way that they will pay for their lunches. If there are any problems with that, please contact myself, your guidance counselor, or Mr. Roach, who is the head of cafeteria services. In terms of bringing in drinks, specifically water, water is definitely permitted. We won't have the same access to the drinking fountains throughout the building, but there will be water fountains that enable you to fill up a water bottle through just a sensor. So there'll be no touching of the water bubbler at all. When students are in class, teachers will designate a specific area where students can get up and drink water. Students have to be very careful about touching their masks throughout the day, so we do ask when they take off their mask for drinking the water and put their mask on again that they're using hand sanitizer when they're taking it off and putting it on again. And hand sanitizer will be available in classrooms and throughout the building. There's a question about lockers. Lockers are not going to be utilized this year, just in terms of spacing, in terms of safety. So students will be carrying in and carrying out all of their of what they'll be using. Mrs. Burns, are there any other medical or health questions? Ms. Joyce will need to leave the presentation at 7 o'clock. If there's anything that we can't answer, we will try to answer at a later date if Ms. Joyce leaves without answering those questions.
Lots of questions coming in, nothing that hasn't been touched upon, or Ms. Joyce giving her information to reach out for specific questions. Okay.
All right. Mrs. Burns, I do want to ask you a question. Just with it seems like there are a few questions around Aspen logins being linked to existing accounts. So if a parent has a 9th grader coming in and they have an upperclassman, a 10th, 11th, or 12th son or daughter here, will those accounts be linked?
For current students, yes, you will have linked accounts, one login for 2 children or 3 children. And if it's a graduate, you typically get a new account.
Great, great. Miss Kyra, I just want to call you in just to talk a little bit about the shop rotations.
Yes, we have a few questions about, does 14 cycles mean 14 shops, and how long is one cycle?
Okay, Ms. Kyra, I'm just bringing you in. There you go. So just a question around the shops and the cycles.
Sure, yes. So 14 cycles does in fact mean 14 different programs. So essentially the exploratory program itself runs over 28 weeks. Okay, now they're in academic every other week. So shop will be 1 week and then academic week, and that will rotate back and forth for 28 weeks. 14 of those 28 weeks, your students will be in shop. So freshmen, you will be able to explore 14 different shop programs throughout the course of the exploratory program. Does that answer the question?
I think it does. I think it does.
The related part of the shop program is embedded into the shop week. So again, for those of you who may have alum in your families, the related used to be incorporated into the academic week, whereas now it's not. For the freshman year only, it is incorporated into the actual shop week. So you will still participate in the related course structure, which is the theory behind the program and the research behind the program that you're studying, whereas the shop is, as we know, the hands-on, the tangible piece that you'll be experiencing. That related piece is incorporated into that shop week for 1 period each day throughout the 5-day week.
Right, and just to clarify, there is a question, Ms. Kyra, around how many days will students be in during the shop week?
So the students will be in for the full 5 days. The freshmen are going to explore the shop week in its entirety. Unless you were approved for full in-person academics, then you're going to be full remote for the entirety of the academic week. So shop week will be in the building Monday through Friday. Academics will be home Monday through Friday. So until further notice, that is what you can expect throughout the entire exploratory program, that you will be in the building Monday through Friday, exploring each of the 14 cycles.
Excellent. Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Kyra.
You're welcome.
Okay, go ahead.
Questions for the shops and exploratories. Can students bring their own safety glasses in, or do they need to have the ones provided from us? And can you clarify if they get one, is it free? So on.
Mrs. Kyra, do you want to chime in about that?
Sure. So safety glasses are provided unless a student requires the use of his or her own safety glasses. We do prefer that you use the safety glasses that we provide, but certainly if that presents a problem for any reason, simply have a conversation with Ms. Samaha or myself, and we will make sure through Mr. Norkowitz that the safety glasses that the student has on his or her own are approved for safety. Chances are, yes, they will be approved and you will be able to wear your own. But if there is any question at all, your shop teacher will certainly let you know, and a pair will be provided to you regardless. If you wear glasses, if you wear regular reading glasses, we do have specific safety glasses that accommodate reading glasses. So if you're concerned about not being able to wear safety glasses because you wear reading glasses, we do have safety glasses that can be worn over the reading glasses. It's really important to keep in mind that safety is measured in the overall rubric and evaluation for the exploratory program, just like proper attire is also evaluated. So you'll need to have the safe work boots, safety glasses, jeans, long sleeves, depending on which program you're visiting or which program you ultimately get placed into, will determine what that attire and safety looks like. And that's why we really insist that you look at the attachment that was sent by Mr. Bayonne so that you can be more familiar with the what to wear and what to bring to shop.
Excellent. Thank you, Ms. Kyra.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Ms. Burns.
Follow-up questions for shop weeks. How will snow days, Monday holidays, and if students are in quarantine work for makeup and accessing shop information?
Sure. So again, we definitely take into consideration any missed time that's out of the student's control for shop week. So we are not going to penalize any student for a snow day or for, a sudden experience that requires us to be out of the building. We're certainly not going to penalize a student for a COVID-related illness or a quarantine. Again, those are going to be taken into consideration on a case-by-case scenario. We will evaluate every situation independently as it arises, and if a re-explore for any particular cycle is warranted, then we will certainly issue the approval for a re-explore. However, what I stated earlier is that re-explore scenarios are reserved for those very severe cases. So whether it be a medical, you broke a leg, you broke an ankle, you are out with just the flu for the entire week, or you had strep throat or mono, or whatever the case may be. Heaven forbid there's a death in the family and you're going to be out of state for funeral services. We definitely take into consideration that there are some times students will need to miss a shop of interest or even a shop of not as much interest, and it would impact the overall grade or experience for that cycle. Those cases will be discussed and reviewed, and usually in those situations we are able to provide re-explore options for any student. So please don't panic, don't anticipate what happens if this or what happens if that. I'm not going to be able to go through my first choice. Please don't panic. We definitely work with you, and we're very flexible in that regard. We want to make sure that the students get to experience the shops that they are most interested in.
That's a great point, Ms. Kyra. I think that what we want people to leave with is that we're going to do everything possible to help students to explore the shops that they would like to re-explore. There could be multiple disruptions to this year. We hope there are not. We're coming in with a very positive attitude, but we're ready if there are going to be any issues that come up. So I just want to answer a few questions that I've seen here. Let's see. We definitely suggest, somebody asked, do we need a backpack? Suggest that you do bring in a backpack. You will be receiving some information from your teachers, so that's going to be important. Let's see. Is there a date set that the hybrid plan will be revisited? 100% in person may be reviewed again. We don't have any plans for that at this point, but we will keep up with the information that's coming out from the Department of Public Health and the Department of Education here in Massachusetts for any updates that will be happening, and we'll respond responsibly in the areas of health and safety for our students. So that's what we can say at this point. Okay. Will there be a Microsoft training for parents? I'm not sure about that. We'd have to check in if there is anything planned. Go ahead, Mrs. Burns.
We have a lot of questions regarding phys ed and the pool, if those will be offered.
What we have talked about at the beginning of school is that they will not be offered, at least at the start of school. That's what our plan is. One of the reasons behind this is that I didn't mention this with lunches and the cafeteria. Our gym is going to be used as an extra cafeteria area for seating, based on the fact that we cannot fit near to as many students as we fit in the cafeteria in the past. Our gym will be set up to serve lunches and to have students sit at socially distanced areas throughout the gym. So it won't be possible for us to offer physical education, and the pool will not be used as part of our physical education program either.
Can students use lockers?
We are going to say no at this time, just in the area of spacing and the area of health and safety. So when will students receive their IDs? So we've had students coming in by grade to get their ID pictures. I'm not sure of the exact date when the IDs will come out. They're usually a few weeks after school starts, but students will get that information after they start school.
How will students get books for their academic week?
We are working on coordinating that right now between all our departments. So just to give a little bit of background, teachers and staff have been in over the previous 5 days, 2 days last week and the past 3 days this week. We have 5 more days based on tomorrow, and then 4 days next week. We're preparing to get ready to start school on September 14th. And a lot of that is around making sure that we have the right technology set up and that teachers are prepared to offer the best learning experience for our students. That's in our vocational technical areas and also in our academic areas. So part of that is also planning on how to get materials to students. So students will be learning more about that through their academic classes, through their remote classes on Microsoft Teams as they log in throughout the school day. There's a question about how to set up a lunch account. So we do have information on our website. Under our cafeteria resources, Mr. Roach is the head of our cafeteria services, and there's information on how parents can go onto our website and load money into their students' accounts to be ready for lunches.
Follow-up question for that. A lot of people are looking for their student ID numbers to set up the accounts.
Okay. I will have to look into that. I'm not sure of the answer to that at this point. Yeah, I'll have to find out a little bit more information and send that out.
We have some questions regarding picking up students if they're showing symptoms or letting people know if they need to be dismissed during the day.
So if students are showing symptoms that are under the symptoms that we've received information on, and that information went out to parents around our opening information a couple weeks ago. So if students are showing symptoms, they've been evaluated by the nurse, then the nurse will be getting in touch with parents about dismissing their student early and giving information and guidance as to the next steps. We've received a number of different criteria for what the next steps would be for students if they are exhibiting symptoms. So yes, parents would need to pick up and dismiss their students. If students need to be dismissed for other reasons, we ask you to get in touch with our attendance officer. Instead of sending in a note, just a call to our attendance officer and leaving a message or talking to her will be enough to start out. We can receive the note later on. There's a couple of questions here that I'll address. Are we going to have breaks to take our masks off? during the school time. I think we have decided that we won't have approved mask breaks, but teachers will offer breaks. Well, no, I should say at lunchtime, students will be able to take off their masks when they're eating, but they'll need to put them on. I will be sending out more information around this issue to come. Let's see. Can students have their cell phones in their body? Yes, students can bring in their cell phones, but they cannot use them during classes. They can use them during lunch.
Follow-up for bringing in items. Can students bring their own computer devices to school?
They can. They don't have to. It's not required in any way, but they can. There's a question around will there be limited students in bathrooms? Are there restrictions? We'll be monitoring that. We will have staff in the hallways and around bathrooms to do our best to monitor how many students are going into bathrooms. So yes, we will be making sure that students will be able to distance while going into the bathrooms.
Could you clarify for people how social distancing will look in the classroom and the lunchroom?
Yes, I did talk a little bit of about the lunchroom before, but I can go into more detail about that or just reiterate what I did talk about. In the classroom, so mostly we're talking about the vocational technical classes. There are a number of students who will be in school full-time. Those approved lists were through the special education office and through my office. So parents would have learned about that information on Monday of this week. And they have the option to opt in their child to 100% in learning based on information that we received from the Department of Education. So for those students, they will be in classrooms for the academic side of things where desks are at least 3 feet apart beside each other and in front. There'll be fewer students, obviously, in classes based upon not being able to have desks as close to each other as in the past. So that's what it could look like in the classroom. There'll be small classrooms. It'll be monitored by one teacher. Students will be expected to continue to log on to their Microsoft Teams and participate in a regular school day, just as they would be if they were in remote classes. So they probably will not have the teacher where that will be assigned to them through Microsoft Teams, because that teacher will be teaching. They'll have other teachers who are monitoring the classrooms and are there for any support for students. In the cafeteria, one of the things that was done is that we took out all of the round tables just because it would have been very difficult to have students at least 3 feet apart from each other if they had round tables in the cafeteria. Instead, we have all rectangular tables in the cafeteria. We have spots that specifically note where students can sit throughout the cafeteria. There'll probably be additional signage that will be put throughout the cafeteria, also advising students on using hand sanitizer and putting on their mask after they've eaten, especially if they want to talk to a friend that's at another table. They'll need to stay in those seats the whole time during lunch. Students are usually, as in years past, would get up and visit other tables. That will not be an option. They'll have to get their lunch, bring their lunch to their seats, and stay and eat their lunches and then throw them out. If there's still time in the lunch period, then they will have to go back and sit in those same seats. So it'll be very specific, and there'll be lunch monitors in there along with administration who will be monitoring the lunchroom.
Could you also clarify if students can still bring lunches from home?
I believe there will be information about that, or there might already be information on our website about bringing lunches from home. I will note that in order so we get an answer out about that.
And we have a question regarding remote days, if students need to be logged in all day or what schedule and expectations will be.
So students will need to be logged in to the classes that they have on a regular basis. So students are expected to be logged in between I believe it's 7:50 and 2:04 throughout the school day, and follow the regular school schedule. There will be the regular breaks in between classes where students usually are moving between classes. So those are 4-minute breaks that students will get. But one thing I guess the message I would want to send to 9th graders is that it's not just going to be sitting in front of the computer or Microsoft Teams getting lectured to the whole day. Our teachers are working on many different ways to engage students through different presentations, and also giving them time to do independent work and work creatively in a lot of different ways. So our teachers are working on innovative ways to keep students interested and involved in the classes that they're taking. So it will be a lot of interaction through a computer, so it's not just sitting there and looking at a screen the whole day. There is a question about the auditorium. Is it fixed and usable yet? It is not. It's still under, we're still going through the process of it being fixed.
Mr. Bayonne, for the
Okay, hold on. I do have an update. This is from our principal, Jess Cook. She is watching the presentation, and she said, yes, students can bring lunches in from home. Thank you, Ms. Cook, for that update.
For the first day of school, how should students dress, and what is considered a cotton work shirt?
That is a good question. Mrs. Samaha or Ms. Kyra, could either of you answer that? Mrs. Samaha?
Sure. Let me just clarify that this list, what to bring and where to Exploratory, when you read that, please know it was all those descriptions are a compilation of replies from the actual shop teacher. So it might seem they might seem redundant in some cases, and it might seem weird that there's not a lot of consistency from one shop to the next. But it's important that you know that your sons and daughters, when they head to those shops, those directives are given by the shop teacher. So if they want to show up the way that they should be showing up, then they should follow those rules. Having said that, basically anything that's not going to be flammable, obviously, is important. When it comes to their pants in some of those construction shops, we often have a lot of mostly our female students that like to wear their jeans tucked into their boots, and that is incredibly dangerous. We need them to have the cuffs over their boots so that nothing gets into their boots, whether it's sparks or any flying materials or things that could hurt them and cut them. But just think of what you would be wearing if you were doing, work on your house and you were doing construction work. Again, it's the closed-toed shoes, leather shoes, no flip-flops. I mean, just as long as they're being logical. I mean, I'm thinking that you are probably reading some of these and thinking, who would even think of wearing tank tops and all these, all these particular rules might seem blinding flashes of the obvious, but they're written because of the past students who have violated these dress codes. So just be, use your best, judgment when you're sending your sons and daughters off, especially for those construction cluster shops, and that make sure that they're dressed in something that's not going to end up causing them injury or harm. If that helps.
Excellent. Yes. Yes. Thank you, Mrs. Samaha. Ms. Kyra, we got a question about homework. Could you talk a little bit about the expectations for homework as ninth graders?
Sure, absolutely. The freshmen will receive homework on academic weeks, as well as in some cases during shop week also. Shop week homework is assigned and sometimes due throughout the course of a shop week, and other times shop week is assigned due the following academic week. That will be outlined in classroom management plans for each teacher, because each teacher does have the autonomy to structure that homework process individually. But homework will assuredly be given. Extra help is also provided. Something good to know that we do provide extra help after school, and you can certainly stay in touch with your teachers, whether it be remotely or in person, to receive that additional help. Extra help is never punitive. It's always just a supportive measure that we put in place to make sure that students are receiving the supports that they need to be successful and to help them become more confident in any particular subject. But the homework will range anywhere from maybe 30 minutes to an hour for any given subject. Sometimes you'll have real quick and easy assignments, whereas other nights you might have much more extensive assignments, whether it is a reading assignment or a writing assignment. Some classes will certainly have more homework than other classes, but the overall theme here is homework is given. You are expected to complete homework. You are expected to turn it in a timely manner, and each teacher has his or her own policy with regard to accepting late work or partial credit for work that's done incomplete. And all of that will be outlined in the individual classroom management plans that you'll get from your teachers when you begin school in the academic week.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Ms. Kyra. So just a quick answer to a couple questions here. Do freshmen have academic or shop week during the first week of school? That will be shop week. So you'll get that information through the Aspen Parent Portal, where schedules will be available next week. You'll know which shop to go to. There's a question around how long classes are. Is that right, Mrs. Burns? Was there a question about that?
Yes, how long classes are, and during the remote if there will be breaks for lunch and snacks.
All right, so we have 8 classes for our academic classes, 8 periods, I should say, 8 periods. Each period is approximately 45 minutes long. As freshmen, for academic classes, freshmen will take a double period of English, a double period of math, and a double period of biology. Ms. Kyra and Mrs. Samaha, chime in if I'm saying anything that's not totally correct. And then there are 2 other periods where students will have the social studies class and then another class in their schedule. So that's the answer about how long the classes are. So there's a question here about if we hang out with friends out of school, do we still have to socially distance in school with those same friends? And yes, you will. No matter who you are in class with or see here in school, social distancing is are the rules that we need to live by in starting off the school year. So keeping a minimum of at least 3 feet in between you. We know, you know, friends are seeing each other outside of school, but when we're in school, we have to abide by the direction that we're given by the Department of Education. So that goes the same with masks, socially distancing, and also washing hands and using hand sanitizer on a regular basis. Okay. Let's see, there's a question about securing tools. So I would think that would be around the shop in terms of if tools are required. So what you should do is go through the first day of shop and find out what is required. There are tools that are in the shops already, and we're working on the cleanliness of tools and sanitizing them after a student uses them. So those are details that are being worked out in shops. There's a question if the full in-person learning will be extended to students who do not fall under the requirements. If parents do want to appeal the decision that was made around students that were in-person learning, if a student is on an IEP and they weren't on the list, the eligibility list, they can appeal in writing to Mr. Jeff Albert, the head of our special education department, our support services department, or if a student is not an IEP, you can put that appeal in writing to me. Okay, we're getting down to the last few questions. So if a student begins remotely, can they change to hybrid in person at a later date? So please stay, we will take in those requests and get back to parents about those specific situations. This could be a very specific situation regarding that, so I can't answer, you know, overall how that would be. So will students have the option to do